Hi everyone, this is the commentary for Visions 2 and 3 of Esdras. If you need the background, why I'm doing this, the source material, etc., go and watch the first commentary video. Here's Ezra at a glance, and the dispensation map and the dispensation timeline. In this video, we are covering kind of all three of the blue three first visions of Esdras with Uriel. If you remember from last time, the summary of the first vision of Esdras was he was asking, why must Israel suffer and their captors prosper? He was looking around the Babylonians, and they were all wealthy and well-to-do, and just really subjugating the Israelites. And why is that? Why, if we're the chosen people and we are trying to at least follow thee, even though we might not be doing it perfectly, why are we being so harshly subjected to these evils? Uriel responds that he is looking beyond his bounds, that God's ways are higher, and that he is looking beyond the mark, kind of a thing. So here's a summary of the second and third visions, and then we'll actually dive into them. If you just want to look at the summary of these two visions, that's fine. The other will very much follow the first video's slide by slide commentary, but these summaries can really sum it up for you. All right, so the second vision, Uriel asks Ezra if he loves the people more than God does. And he says, if you'll follow my instructions, I'll show you more. But Ezra says, no, I'm really sad about it all the time. I know that I don't love the people more than God does, and I'm trying to understand why God would do this. Why was I born at this time? And then Uriel gives him another test of impossible things, and Ezra asks, is there hope for anyone? And he also asks, couldn't God have timed it so that all of the evil came to the earth at once, and that the righteous could be spared of all the awful things, kind of get them over with, and then let the world be taken over by the righteous? And Uriel responds that the earth cannot handle all of the wickedness at once. It's likened unto a mother. And then Ezra asks, when is the halfway point of the earth? Uriel kind of gives a shrouded response that Esau was the end of the first, and Jacob was the beginning of the second, and that's all that he can say. There's more to that than it is, but that's all that Uriel expounds upon. So Esdras says, okay, well, can I at least see what you promised to show me the other night? And Uriel says, yes, stand up, and you're going to feel like you're moving, but you're not actually moving, so don't be afraid. This is some intense stuff. Then lots of latter-day prophecies are expounded unto him, and says, don't focus so much on the past or you'll miss the future. God knows that you're good. Go and pray and fast for 7 days, and then I'll show you bigger things. And then the third vision comes around, and he talks about, Uriel is the one that starts the conversation, saying that if a city of goodness is so hard to get to, how can anyone ever expect to receive an inheritance of it? He wants to pose that question to Esdras. He's kind of testing him to see if he's learned anything in these previous two visions. And Ezra responds that, should we not pray for the wicked? All of our patriarchs have always prayed for the wicked. Should we not be doing so now? He thought he kind of was a good pupil. He finally had a good answer, and Uriel kind of is like, you're still looking beyond the mark. And Ezra says, it would have been better for the earth not to be even given to Adam, or at least keep him from sitting so that we didn't have to put up with all this stuff. And Uriel's just kind of patient with him as he kind of throws a little tantrum, it seems like. And then he asks, why put so much effort into creating and nurturing and growing each and every person if they're just doomed anyway? He's so frustrated. He offers this prayer for the people and asks, when will this happen? Uriel responds and says, wait 7 more days and then I'll show you. So those are the summaries of the first three visions. If you want, we'll go into slide by slide what is happening. So in the second vision, Uriel says, if you'll do what I say, I'll tell you more. And he says, speak on. Do you love Israel more than God loves them? No, but I'm really sad about it all the time. I'm trying to understand why God would do this. And he's like, you can't comprehend the ways of God. Okay, why was I even born during this time? And so Uriel has him try to explain 6 more impossible things that are from the realm of Esdras, not from higher things. But if he can expound those, I'll tell you what you want to know. And he says, who can know any of those things? Those are impossible. And he's like, just like you can't understand these things that I've asked, you cannot comprehend why the bad things are happening around you or the eventual love that is coming. Is there any hope for anyone? Esdras replies. And Uriel, speaking with divine investiture, says, my punishment is one eternal round. There is no difference in its speed during the earth's time. Ezra replies, couldn't you have timed it so that all of the wicked could just come forth at the same time and get it over with? And Uriel responds that a creation cannot move faster than its creator. Likewise, the world would not be able to hold all of the wicked at once. And Ezra is very confused by this. He's telling Uriel that he seems to be contradicting himself. So, you said that you created all things at the same time and it was fine, so why not? Why couldn't you do what my idea was? Uriel responds by saying, go ask a pregnant woman. Go ask her womb why it can't choose to bring forth however many it wants. And likewise, the earth can only handle so many at a time. In the earth's youth, it can't handle the heavier things until later. And so Esdras is like, oh, okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, the metaphor that you're trying to put across is that our earth is like a mother that is coming of age. And Uriel says, yeah, basically, ask a pregnant woman if all of her children were carried the exact same way. She will tell you that the first ones and the latter ones are different. So, again, with divine investiture, Uriel expounds upon the idea of creation. Before all of these creations were I am, no one else. No one else created this stuff. And so Ezra says, okay, so when is the halfway point? When does the first half end and the second half begin? And Uriel gives a shrouded response saying, Esau was the end of the first half and Jacob was the beginning of the second half, but that's all I can say. All right, well, can I at least see the rest of what you promised to show me last night? All right, so stand up, Esdras, and you're going to feel like you're moving, but you're not actually moving. So don't be afraid. This is some intense stuff. And then the Lord steps in to show him the end time prophecies. He says, I will become soon and judge righteously. Here are some last day signs. The books shall be open that everyone can read them together. Even 1-year-old children will be able to speak. Women will be able to give birth only after 3 to 4 months, and it'll be fine. The fields and storehouses will be empty. Fear will come upon every man. Civil war, no running water. But anyone who survives all this will see my second coming. Translated beings will see it. Hearts will be changed into a different function. Good will be established. As Esdras stared upon the Lord more and more, the glory around him shone brighter and brighter. He says that he'll tell him the future. Go and pray and fast for 7 more days, and then he'll tell him even greater things. God knows that you're good. He has sent me to show you these things, so don't focus on the past too much, or you'll miss the future. And then we have this interlude of Esdras praying, and I'm not going to go through it word by word, but just a couple things here that chapter 6, verse 42 is quoted by Christopher Columbus when Christopher Columbus is appealing to the Catholic monarchs for financial support for his first voyage of exploration. He describes verse 42, the earth being created with 6 parts land and 1 part water. It's a very interesting quote to pore over that and see how it applies to Christopher Columbus and the prophecies surrounding him. And look at that in 2nd Nephi, those prophecies there, and compare the two. In here, Leviathan appears in Psalm 74:14 as a multi-headed sea serpent that is killed by God and given as food to the Hebrews in the wilderness. Also in Isaiah 27:1, the Leviathan is a symbol of is a serpent and a symbol of Israel's enemies who will be slain by God. In Job 41, it's a sea monster and a symbol of God's power of creation. So there's just some tidbits in this interlude to kind of understand what he's talking about with the Enoch and Leviathan principle there. So moving into the third vision, we have Uriel come and say, "Hear the words that I am come to tell me." And he says, "Speak on." All right, so if a city of goodness is so hard to get to that no one ever does enter, how can anyone expect to receive the inheritance of it? That's the question that he's kind of testing Esdras with to see if he's understood the previous information that he's told him. And he says that Israel is promised this great city's inheritance, yet because of Adam's transgression, the way to salvation is narrow. The entrance to heaven was big in the terrestrial condition. If you cannot do the smaller things, you'll never get the big reward. So he asked the question to Esdras, "Why have you not pondered the future, but only the present?" And Esdras replies, "The righteous are trying to be on the narrow path and hoping for the large promised blessings." But Uriel comes back and says, "No, the narrow way was plainly given. It wasn't because they couldn't find it or get to it. It's because they didn't want to. You reap what you sow. Those that are prepared for the marriage feast will see wonders." And then he has the 400-year cycle that he briefly introduces here. If you want more information on that, go and watch my symbolism class, lesson 2. It covers some of those 400-year cycles. Uriel explains that the wicked shall be swept off the earth, the resurrection will take place, righteousness will triumph, and judgment will happen. And Esdras, thinking that he's clever, says, "Okay, well, I think I've got the answer. So all of our righteous forefathers have always prayed for the wicked. Should we not do so now?" And Uriel says, "Yes, they've prayed for the weak because they know what's coming after this life. The judgment will be final." And Esdras is like, "Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. It would have been better not to give this earth to Adam, or at least keep him from sinning." And so he, out of exasperation, he kind of takes it out on Adam and asks, "Why not give up if there's no hope?" And Uriel says, "It's kind of the point. If you cave in and give up, you're just going to suffer. But this world is to get the victory and receive the greater blessings." And Esdras says, "Well, not everybody's going to make it." And Uriel basically quotes other scripture and says, "Well, many are called, but few are chosen." So Esdras goes into this really long explanation here of, okay, so we have the baby that's fashioned now in the mother's womb, and give it its members and carefully preserved it. So why put so much effort into creating and nurturing and growing a person if they're just doomed anyway? That's stupid. And he goes on for quite a few slides here. And Uriel says, "Okay, some of what you're saying is correct, but not all of it. Agency is given unto man, and God cannot just make everyone come back or be peaceable while they're on the earth." Esdras retorts with, "Well, if God is full of mercy, let him look down on us right now with that mercy." Uriel says that the good must equal the bad, and there will be great miseries in the last days because of the pride. Make sure that you focus on yourself and get yourself to heaven. If some don't want to be saved, you'll have to let them go. I've shown many of these things to a small group who are worthy to receive them, but they are very difficult, so it's a very small group that gets to see all of this. Ezra goes, "Okay, so you've shown me what you're going to do, but not when." And Uriel says, "Well, I've told you the signs to look for. The righteous shall be saved from the worst of it, but they'll have to earn it. Some would still reject God even if they got the greater gifts. So don't focus so much on the ungodly, but rather those that want to be saved. Focus on getting them saved." Esdras, in frustration again, "Well, I've said it again and I'll say it. No, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's not going to be very many that make it." And Uriel says, "When the world was created, it was pure and undefiled. It was created in a perfect state. Everyone wanted to come to it, but the agency of men has made it perilous. That wasn't God's doing." And then he kind of expounds the parable of the vineyard. So then he gives Esdras the next assignment. "So in 7 days, I'll show you more. Go to a field of flowers and eat only the flowers, and I will come and talk to thee."